Hi there. This is Jess. Again, just kind of checking in with my 2-week update. So I've officially been on testosterone for 15 days, actually. Excuse me if I swivel around in this swivel chair kind of obnoxiously. I'm still working on not saying but please forgive me if I do say it 20 times a sentence. So yeah, I went in for my second shot. As far as changes and everything goes, there hasn't really been a whole lot. Kind of breaking out. Like, great that that's one of the first ones, but what can you do? Watching my arms and legs kind of obsessively for hair growth, and there hasn't been much there. I'm not a very hairy person. We'll see. Still more energy. I'm getting really kind of more fidgety, having trouble sitting still. Want to climb trees and run around and generally kind of wreak havoc. Yeah, my voice. I'm not sure that there's actually been any sort of noticeable change there, but I certainly feel my voice sort of continuing to open up in the lower registers, and it's harder for me to sing along with Mariah in loud falsetto lately. So, I mean, that's a bummer, but I feel like that's kind of like maybe I feel like a little bit like I'm bracing for impact, like I'm on the edge of a cliff, because I feel like my voice is just gonna plummet any second. Which might be a little optimistic, but you know, yeah, I'm hanging out here in the office of the student newspaper here with my friend Jess, also named Jess, only with one S. Hey Jess, you back there? That's Jess. Isn't she lovely? Yeah, Jess is one of my best friends ever. She has wicked tattoos. You want to say anything to everyone on YouTube?
No, sure.
I've got like 6 subscribers, are you sure? No? Cool, yeah. Alright, so that was Jess, and yeah, I guess not a whole lot to report. I wanted to make a video talking about sort of my, like how I identify gender-wise, because I feel like I've alluded to identifying as genderqueer, but I want to go into some detail on I guess what my genderqueer is. I guess I have time to talk about that a little bit now. I go by gender-neutral pronouns, which, like they and them. Let me just for the record state that it is so frustrating to hear the grammatically incorrect, therefore I'm not going to respect your pronoun argument, because it happens all the time, but yeah, I do go by gender-neutral pronouns, and not because I feel like masculine pronouns wouldn't suffice, but it kind of, I don't know. I don't particularly like gender-neutral pronouns for myself, but they're kind of the best option as far as finding a word to represent my identity. I don't know, language is a little limited. But yeah, although I'm going through this transition to masculinize my body, I'm not really considering it like an avenue towards maleness per se at this point, and I fully understand that this is all sort of subject to change. I know a lot of people go through serious identity changes once they do start physical transition, but at this point, I still feel very much in touch with my genderqueerness, and basically, I guess I feel that I align myself more in a middle ground as far as, like, you know, not female, not male, in between somewhere. I identify mainly as masculine, and that's why I refer to myself also as transmasculine. But I tend to also want to kind of constantly trouble ideas of masculinity too, because I don't feel like, although I identify with masculinity. I've never been butch. I've never been typically masculine, and that kind of fits into my genderqueerness also. I like to call it a gentle masculinity, and those two things can, you know, often in our society, I think, conflict each other. Masculinity isn't necessarily described as a very gentle way to present or move through the world or anything like that. So that's a little bit on my identity, and I can go into that probably if I really kind of prepare something to talk about in more detail. Yeah, so that's pretty much been me so far. Still haven't come out to my parents. Still really, really freaking out about that. I feel like there's a funny story, actually. I don't think I've told this story on YouTube, but my mom turned to me the other day, like maybe a month ago, and called me Jake, kind of out of nowhere. And, Jess is a shortened version of my birth name. So, they've always just kind of called me Jess. But just out of nowhere, this very male name, and I kind of looked at her and was like, Jake, what? And she was like, oh, it just sort of came out. I don't know. I mean, it would be a lovely name if you decided to change your name for whatever reason. I was like, oh, okay, thanks, Mom. So I feel like there's, my mom anyways is more or less ready to know, but I'll definitely keep you guys posted on how that happens and what her reaction is when I finally do disclose to her what's going on. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for me. I'm not sure. Clearly, I'm in a different location using a different webcam again because I can't seem to find reliable technology to make these vlogs. But as soon as I can, I'll post another singing update too, and kind of try to keep up on that as well. And hopefully by a week from now, when I check in again, there will be a lot more changes to sort of report. And yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. So have a lovely week. Cool. You want to say bye, Jess?